Deep beneath the snow-covered ground of Tamriel's northern province, an alien world lies dormant. This cavernous expanse thrives without rain or sunlight. In place of trees, the city is dominated by a forest of giant mushrooms. Fungal towers with long slender stems glow shades of turquoise and mauve, an ecosystem unlike anything seen on the surface. Welcome to Blackreach. When the Dragonborn's adventures take him to the bottom of the great dwarven elevator shafts at each end of the city, a world left under the occupation of Falmer and Chorus waits to be explored. There are a great many secrets to unearth in this cave, but one understated tale of scientific discovery is easy to overlook. Tucked away in the far northeast corner of Blackreach, near the Alftand Cathedral, there is a small field laboratory. If we knock on the door, there will be no answer, but if we're persistent and investigate further, we'll see that a skeleton littered with arrows is slumped on the floor within. This poor soul couldn't protect himself from the Falmer inhabitants, but what exactly was he studying so far from civilization? Hey guys, it's Drew here and welcome back to FudgeMuppet. In this video we're going to look into the story of an Ultima alchemist named Sinderion. Some of you may remember the name from the hero of Kvatch's adventures during the Oblivion crisis, but it seems this studious scientist lost his life in pursuit of his research. To learn more about this skeleton, we must refer to his journal, confirming that this is the body of Sinderion, and unsurprisingly, this alchemist has kept a detailed journal of his travels and his motivations. The beginning of the diary reads, "I've spent a large portion of my life unravelling the mystery of the Nirnroot, and yet I still feel unfulfilled. The trilling sound this strange herb emits seems to taunt me, to push me even harder to discover its secrets. Even after a generous and indomitable traveller became a field collector in my stead, and provided me with 5 score of the Nirnroot, I was only able to muster what I consider a mediocre alchemical creation at best. This only served to strengthen my hunger and whet my appetite for the solution. It wasn't until over 50 years later that the answer to my prayers was carried into my basement workshop at the Westweald Inn. The first thing I heard was the familiar tone, that unmistakable warble unique to the Nirnroot. But when I turned around, my heart leapt and a chill ran down my spine. This was indeed a Nirnroot, but of a variety the likes of which I have never seen. The herb was awash in a spectacular array of red hues, each leaf seemingly emblazoned with innumerable variations of crimson. I couldn't move. I was completely transfixed. Never in my wildest dreams could I have imagined a species of Nirnroot with such a unique property. Hold on just a minute. One quick stroll around Blackreach would be all it takes to see the exact root Sinderion is referring to. While there are many eye-catching plants in Blackreach, all of which containing their own unique alluring properties, Nirnroot, and in this case the crimson variety, is unmistakable. The trilling sound, that peculiar hum, is burned into the mind of every adventurer in Skyrim. If you harvest one of these, you'll be prompted with the same quest you get by opening Sinderion's journal, a return to your roots. The other noteworthy part of Sinderion's diary is where he mentions the Westweald Inn and his field researcher. That's right, down in Cyrodiil in the city of Skingrad, Sinderion lived and worked as a master alchemist. He is an alchemy tutor available to the hero of Kvatch during the Oblivion crisis, and he offers the hero some very powerful concoctions called elixirs of exploration, in exchange for supplying him with large quantities of Nirnroot. The quest we obtain now in Skyrim by opening the journal or collecting a Crimson Nirnroot is clearly a callback to that quest from over 200 years ago. It seems that even in death, this alchemist has managed to send eager field researchers off to run his errands. If we take another look at his journal, we can discover what brought this returning character all the way from Cyrodiil to Skyrim, and to his inevitable death. After an awkward silence, I finally managed to stammer out a few questions to the traveller who'd brought me this treasure. He told me his name was Obeth Arnesian, a treasure seeker from Skyrim. Apparently he'd been exploring a vast subterranean network of grand caverns called Blackreach, and had stumbled across what he dismissed as a noisy red weed. His expedition was largely unsuccessful and he didn't want to leave the caves empty-handed, so Obeth picked one of the Crimson Nirnroot to bring home. He said that it took some time, but eventually he was pointed my way, and that perhaps I'd pay a fair price for it. Before I could gather my wits and ask anything else, Obeth offered to sell me the Crimson Nirnroot sample, a map showing me how to find Blackreach, and the strange key needed to breach its outer defences. It took me mere moments to decide. Obeth left Skingrad 1,000 septims richer, but I would have easily paid 10 times that amount to obtain the sample alone. He then goes into detail about his journey to Skyrim, and we discover that he had a former apprentice, and that is who we will need to bring the Crimson Nirnroot to. It took a year of planning, but I was able to pack up and sell my workshop and make my way into Skyrim. Before delving headfirst into Blackreach, I knew I needed to set up a new laboratory, but wished to do so in seclusion. After making inquiries at the College of Winterhold, of which I was an honorary member, I was directed to speak to Avrusa Sarefi, a student of botanical alchemy who had a small farm near the city of Riften. By bartering my knowledge of Nirnroot cultivation, I was able to secure Sarefi Farm as a launching point for my field research. I kept the knowledge of the Crimson Nirnroot a secret from Avrusa, but imparted everything else I knew to her in exchange for her hospitality. A few months passed, but I was finally ready to enter Blackreach. I used the attunement sphere that Obeth had provided and descended into the depths. My goal was to gather enough Crimson Nirnroot to produce my greatest alchemical creation to date. I was certain it would take at least 30 of them to provide the necessary catalyst. We can only hope now that Sinderion is dead that his legacy didn't die with him. He must have had a very important reason to go to such lengths in search of Crimson Nirnroot. He may not have told Avrusa about the crimson variety of the plant living in Blackreach, but maybe she knows the secret behind the importance of the plant. And if you're wondering why the name Sarefi is ringing a bell, the Sarefi family was a prominent branch of House Redoran in Morrowind. The final paragraph of Sinderion's journal explains how many roots are required, as well as what allows a plant to live down here away from the sun. With the exception of Crimson Nirnroot, only fungi live in the Blackreach ecosystem. The final paragraph reads, "This brings me to the present. My initial research seems to indicate that the Crimson Nirnroot has a similar affinity for moisture as the garden variety, but also maintains some sort of symbiotic relationship with the enormous fungi that inhabits Blackreach. It's my guess that the fungi itself is a source of water, absorbing it from the moist subterranean air like a sponge. That provides the ideal environment for the Nirnroot to grow. Unfortunately, the Crimson Nirnroot appears to have a vastly shortened lifespan, and they are in no way plentiful down here. Gathering 30 of them will be quite the challenge, but hopefully the denizens of Blackreach will allow me to gather my samples unhindered. Finding 30 samples of the plant will take us to every corner of Blackreach, and for once we can actually be thankful for that ceaseless chiming noise. There are 44 roots in Blackreach, and they can be found in places that aren't directly beside or in water. They may be found near patches of mushrooms, near Dwemer pipes, or along the walls of the cavern. For anyone searching for some guidance, here is a map of the Crimson Nirnroot locations within Blackreach that the Dragonborn charted in his travels. When our collection is complete, we can seek out Avrusa on the Sarefi farm near Riften, hopefully discovering the secret behind Sinderion's obsession. When we meet Avrusa in her humble farmstead, we can ask her about her farm and her relationship with Sinderion. There's a lot of Nirnroot around here.
Actually, I'm growing it if you hadn't noticed. I'm the only person alive that can cultivate Nirnroot from a seed to a fully grown plant.
Did Sinderion teach you how to grow Nirnroot?
Yes, he was an absolute genius when it came to the Nirnroot. Sinderion made it his life's work, developing all sorts of interesting concoctions.
I found Sinderion's remains.
I knew this day would eventually come. At least poor Sinderion died doing what he loved, his field research. I told the old fool he should take it easy, but he was too stubborn. Perhaps someday I'll continue where he left off. It's the least I can do, considering how much he did for me.
I've brought this Crimson Nirnroot for you.
You gathered quite a few of them, I see. I'll search through Sinderion's notes and find some more information about the Crimson Nirnroot and its properties.
Here you are.
Thank you. You've done alchemy a great service by helping to complete Sinderion's work. I'd like to give you this tome. It's one of Sinderion's greatest works. I believe you've more than earned it.
So our quest is complete, but aside from a useful active effect called Sinderion's Serendipity, which increases your chance of creating a duplicate potion when brewing by 25%, there's one interesting takeaway from our adventure. A return to your roots may be one laborious fetch quest, but there is more to Nirnroot and its crimson compatriot than simply an obnoxious humming. By glossing over Sinderion's masterwork, the Nirnroot Missive, we can get an understanding for how vitally important Nirnroot may be in Tamriel's alchemical and medicinal advances. The Nirnroot Missive is an Imperial scribe's account of Sinderion's lecture at the Alchemical Symposium only 2 years after the hero of Kvatch meets him in the Westworld Inn of Skingrad. Sinderion says, although this curiously tenacious flora grows almost anywhere a significant body of water is present, it's extremely rare and soon to become extinct. After years of extensive research and the tireless efforts of my field assistant, I came into the possession of a large sampling of Nirnroot. According to the theories presented by the noted Imperial herbalist Chivius Regalium, the Nirnroot once flourished until a cataclysmic event severely reduced their numbers. Although many scholars reject the proposal that the Sun's death event of First Era 668 catastrophically affected plant life, Chivius felt that the Nirnroot's normal growth cycle was interrupted by the lack of sun for a full year. Whereas other plant species tend to find a way, the Nirnroot's mysterious magical nature made it especially susceptible to this climate shift. While this may or may not be the case, it's certainly true that the recorded sightings of Nirnroot are declining as the years pass. Chivius's notes oddly describe the Nirnroot as emitting a brilliant yellowish glow. Contrary to this, the Nirnroot of today has a soft, haunting blue-white glow. Subsequent studies by other scholars have failed to adequately explain this shift in hue. I propose that the Nirnroot sensed its own impending extinction, and therefore altered its metabolism in order to survive. One of the most glaring pieces of evidence of my theory is the presence of Nirnroot in subterranean environments, places completely devoid of sunlight. Strangely, Chivius's notes fail to mention even a single instance of a subterrestrial Nirnroot. How could this be? How could a surface-dwelling plant suddenly begin appearing in new locations radically different from its normal habitat? The answer, my fellow alchemists, is ironically concealed within Chivius's own notes. Although he spends a great deal of time experimenting with the Nirnroot in his laboratory, he overlooked an important part of the plant's growth cycle, its soil. Chivius was correct in assuming the volcanic eruption of Red Mountain contributed to the demise of the Nirnroot, but I believe the ash from that mighty explosion did more than simply cloud the skies. When mixed with the fertile soil of Cyrodiil, this fine powder is the true cause of the Nirnroot's astounding metamorphosis. Although little volcanic ash from that dark time remains, I have performed tests on samples sent to me from Vvardenfell. Careful scrutiny of the samples revealed that they were rife with ash salt, a highly magical substance. Dunmer native to the Vvardenfell region were known to have used ash salt as an ingredient to cure the Blight, an awful disease which decimated their realm hundreds of years ago. This unique property of the ash salt coupled with the Nirnroot's inherent magic caused the radical change. In essence, the root healed itself. In summation, it's clear that the Nirnroot was dying and used as a byproduct of its destructor to preserve itself. I feel the Nirnroot has accomplished in a relatively short amount of time what it would take other species thousands of years to complete. Whether you subscribe to my theory or not, one thing is certain, the Nirnroot is on a path to destruction. It contains untapped potential to create potions the likes of which have never been seen in our day. I propose to you that today we divert a small portion of our funds to an expedition to collect some of these roots to study. I have outlined this proposal for your perusal after this section of the symposium. Please seriously consider this proposal before it becomes too late and the Nirnroot becomes nothing but a memory. The Nirnroot's plant's affinity for self-preservation, against all the odds, is proof in Sinderion's eyes of some serious medical possibilities. He was so devoted to this theory that he subjected himself to 2 centuries of listening to the Nirnroot plant drone on in his laboratory. He paid thousands of septims for samples from distant travellers, and he even embarked on a journey to a dangerous land ruled by Falmer savages, giving his life to the research. So next time you hear the monotonous sound of a Nirnroot growing on the riverbank, stop to appreciate this resilient plant. It's sad that Sinderion's life came to an end, but there is still hope that Avrusa Serefi may continue his research, allowing his legacy to live on. And that was the full story of Sinderion and the Miracle Plant. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a like. Thank you so much for watching, my name is Drew, and I will see you next time.